Welcome to Just Puzzling. My name is Chris. Today we're going to do a Killer Sudoku at the expert level. I do it on my iPad and basically I do it without notes because I find that this is more a maths puzzle than a traditional Sudoku. Anyway, let's take you through it and see how we go. Alright, so let's do some low-hanging fruits. That's a 6 there, that's an 8 there. Now, one of the things about Sudoku, the Killer Sudokus have got to follow the same rule, is every box, row or column must have the numbers 1 to 9. Now, the secret to this is, with the 1 to 9, if you add that up together, 1 plus 2 plus 3, etc., that adds up to 45. So what we generally can look for is we can look for spare cells. So we can see here, this is a full cage, 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 and then I'm left with one cage that's not a full cage. So if I add up this, which is 8 plus 14, which is 22, plus 8 is 30, plus 13 is 43. 43 from 45 gives us 2. All right, so that's a little trick that I always used, and I'm always looking for that. Anyway, that's a 6 there, so we'll close that down. With 17, it's always 8 and 9 because they're the only two numbers that can add up to 17. With a 15, it's 8 and 7 or 9 and 6. So we're just working our way through this. Alright, so what's interesting to me here with this one, and I can't do anything with here, but it's actually going to solve this one here, is that 1 can only be here with the 9 because 1 and 10 can't have a 10. 1 and 6, already got a 6 in there, so this is 1 and 9. 4 is a 3 and 1, because that can't be a 1, because this is going to be, one of these two is going to be a 1, that's going to be a 3, and here's a 1. What that's also done is it's given me a spare cage the other way. So these numbers, when I add them up, are going to be more than 45 by the number of that. So 14 plus 18 is 32, plus 3 is 35, plus 15 is 50. 50 from less 45 is 5. And this is what I talk about from a point of view of sometimes this game is not necessarily note-based like the other Sudokus. This is more a maths one. So once again, I've got these two columns here with one spare cage there. So if I add up 18 plus 14, 32, plus 4, 36, plus 15, 51, plus 17, 68, plus 9, 77, plus 8 is 85. Once again, that's a 5. Okay, so this is how I sort of am working my way through it. Eventually it gets a bit easier, but I'm looking for these snapshots here. Here's another one just as an interest. 23. The only numbers that can add up to 23 in a cage are 6, 8 and 9. Because this 6 is coming down here, that's got to be the 6 there. Alright, so we know that 6 is going to be one of these. Can't be 6 and 2 because of that there. So can't be 6 there, so that's a 6 there. That leaves us with a 7 to try and figure out, which is going to be a 4 and 3 because it can't be 2 and 5 because of that 2 there, and it can't be 6 and 1. So we know that it's 4 and 3. We've got a 3 there, so that's a 3, and that's a 4. What we've also done for the 14 is that it could either be an 8 and 6, which is already there, or a 9 and 5. So we know that that's a 9 and 5. We also know that this is going to be a 1 and 7, which means that 1 can be here or here. Alright, so let's work our way across here. So we know that this is 1 and 9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is needed, and 5 can't be there, so that's going to be a 5. 6, 7, because this is 9 and 1, 7. We've got that row except for the 9 and 1, which I can't tell you about. But in terms of the 7 and 5 here, that is 12. Take it up to 14, I need a 2. Okay, so 8 is going to be in here because this is 15 minus 5, which is in there, is 10. 2 and 8 is going to be in there, so 8 is going to be one of these numbers, and then it leaves us with a 10. Okay. 8, 9, so this is 7. So this now is so hear me out in terms of this. This is 8 and 9 here. So that means that 8 can't, or 9 can't be there. Right? So 7 and 8 can't work either because 8 has to be in these. So this here is going to be 9 and 6. So that's a 6, that's a 9, that's an 8, that's a 9. By the way, 1 has to be here somewhere. So this also is going to be the 1 and 9. So the reason for that is if you have an 8, you can't have it without a 1 in it. Alright, so we still got 8 and 9 there, 9 and 1 there. So 1 down here is the 9, which we already knew, so that's 9 and 8. So there's a 9. So 9, 8. 8 is going to be here because 8 can't be in that cage there. So this is 8 and 7. Okay, what else have we got? We know that that can't be a... So this can only be a 2 and a 7 there. I just don't know which way. I do know which way because that's 8 and 7 there. So that's a 7 and that's a 2. 8 and 7, so this means this is 3 and 1, 3 and 4. So the 1 is there, 1, 3, 4. So we know that 1 and 3 going up. What's the number there? So 4 has to be there, which means that this has to be a 6 and 8. Remember I told you 8 has to be in this column because the 8 and 2 doesn't work there. So that means that that's a 6 because of this 6 here, and this is an 8. Alright, so 8 and 3 is up there. 7 and 4 here. Reason it's 7 and 4 is because I can't have a 2 and 9, can't have a 3 and 8, I can't have a 5 and 6. So what that means to me is 5 and 2 are here, which means that's a 5 because of this 2 here, and that's a 2. Which has opened up this 5 and 9, because remember I said that that was the 14 because the 8 and 6 didn't work. Okay, 8 and 9, so 9 and 1, 9 and 1, 8. So this is 1 and 5 because the only 4 numbers make it up are 2 and 4 or 5 and 1. Because there's a 2 there, can't be, because there's a 5 there, that's got to be the 5, and that's the 1. So now we know that 5 is either here or here. And it's starting to look like that the 5 is going to be there. So the reason for that is 4 can't be in this one. 4 can't be in this one because of the 6, which only leaves that cell left, 4 and 5. Okay, so we've still got 7 and 1 up here. 8 and 7, so 13 can have 8 and 5, 13, 7 and 6, 13, 9 and 4, 13. Because of the 8 and 7 there, gone, can't do it. Because there's a 4 here and a 9 here, but 4 here, that 4 has to be there. That means that has to be the 9 to make it up to 13. What I now know is 1 is going to be one of these two. And I've got to actually, because we've solved this 5, I've actually got a spare cage there. So 13 plus 5 is 18, plus 11 is 29, plus 6 is 35. That means that's a 10, and that'll be a 4. So what makes up the 10, you ask? It's going to be 3 and 7, but I don't know which way. So 1, 2 and 8 is going to be my numbers. All right, so 2 is going to be here. So if 2's here, 2's here, that means that's got to be a 2. By the way, I have a spare cage here, so let's answer that. So 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 10 is 20, plus 6 is 26. What makes that up to there is 19, so that's a 1. And funnily enough, because this is now 20 less 3, the 2 and the 1, this is 17. And as you know, for two numbers, 17 can only be 9 and 8. So 9 and 8, which means the 8 that I told you, because this is 8, 2 and 1, is 8. 1 can't be there because of that, so 1 is there, and 2. Still 3 and 7, which is problematic. But remember, this is 1 and 7, so I know that that's going to be the 1, and that will be the 7. All right, so we should be able to answer this. The question here, what's this? It's 3 and 7. 3's there, so that's going to be a 3, and that will be a 7. Okay, remember I said that this is 1 and 3, because that adds up to the 8. 3 there, so that's a 3, that's a 1, which leaves 1 going to be here or here. No, 1 is already done in this thing, so we eject any comment that I made about that. 1 is going to be here or here. So 7, 2, so it's still 8, 3 up here. This is going to be 1 and 9, so we may as well take that, 1 and 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so 6 is there, 8, so 8 and 8, so that's an 8, that's a 7, to add it up to 20, 5 plus 8 plus 7 is 20, that's a 6. This is going to leave this as a 5, so this can either be 1 and 4 or 2 and 3. Because of the 1 and 4 there, it's going to be 2 and 3. Because of the 2 there, that's a 3, and that's a 2. Okay, so 1, 2. So now this has become 3 and 4. Because of that 4 there, that's a 4, that's a 3. So this is 8. What adds up to 8 there is going to either be 1 and 7, possible. Can't be 3 and 5 because the 3's in that cage, or 2 and 6. 2, 6, possible. All right. So this here is 3 and 7. Because of that 7 there, that's going to be the 3, that's going to be the 7. Remember, this was 3 and 7 as well. Because of that 7 there, that's a 3, and that's a 7. Okay. We've got a spare cage here. Or, you know, so 17, 18, with the, so 17 plus 1 is 18, plus 8 is 26, 35, I don't actually know why I did it, but 38, that'll be a 7. If I had actually just looked at that row, you'd see there's no 7 in it anyway. Anyway, that's the joys of me doing these puzzles. I see some stuff and then I don't see some stuff. What if this is, so 7 from 13, 6 can only be a 2 and 4, but the 2 and 4 are there, so I can't have a 2 and 4 there. So this is going to be the 1 and 5, because that 1 there, that's a 1, and that's a 5. Leaving me with knowing, because I'll keep coming back to that, 1 and 9. So 9 is going to be here, and 8 is there, remember, because that's a 17, which solved this 8 and 3. Remember I told you that was an 8 and 3 before, so that solves that, and still leaves me with the 7 and 4, but because of that 7, that's a 7, and that's a 4. Okay, so I now know that this is going to be 2 and 6, so 2 and 6. This here is 9, and it's going to be 4 and 5. Because of that 5 there, that's a 5, that's a 4. This leaves, I'm thinking, the last two things, which is a 2 and 6. Right, so 2, because of that 2 there, and 6. All right, we did that in just under 13 and a half minutes. As I can see, this to me is more a maths-based problem rather than the traditional Sudoku of notes and all that sort of stuff. But I really love the challenge of them. Hope you got something out of it. Until next time, bye for now.